Armadillo Ray, written by John Bafus, illustrated by Peggy Turley. Armadillo Ray lived in the desert where the tumbleweeds rolled past like children turning somersaults. Like all armadillos, Ray liked to explore at night. When the fierce sun had gone to bed, he would scamper across the cool rocks and dig in the sand with his strong young paws. When he saw a cactus, he pretended he was a bad guy. "Stick 'em up," he would say. Ray was an imaginative armadillo. Ray was also an inquisitive armadillo. Often he would peer into the clear night sky and contemplate the moon. Some nights the moon was full and round and white like a blossom on the saguaro cactus where the owls lived. It made the armored shell on Ray's back shine like pebbles in a stream. Other nights, the moon was a half circle, like the smile of a kit fox reflected sideways in a pool. Or it was only a silver sliver, like the stinger on the tail of a scorpion. Armadillo Ray was puzzled. What was this magic thing in the sky? How could it have so many shapes? Ray decided to ask the other desert dwellers about the moon. The first night Ray sought an answer, he came across his friends the snakes. They were dancing. They whipped their snaky bodies into the air. "Hello," said Ray. "Hello," said the snakes. "I have a question," said Ray. What is the moon?" "What a silly question for a young armadillo," the snakes said. "Everybody knows the moon is a great serpent that can twist into many different shapes. Some nights it coils into a tight, round ball. Tonight it has bent itself into a shiny crescent. Once the serpent was stretched across the land like a great white belt, but the land began filling up with people. The people crawled across the serpent like the fleas on a coyote. They made the serpent itch, so it crawled up into the sky. Then the snakes curled and corkscrewed into hoops and crescents in imitation of the great serpent. "I can do that too," Ray shouted, and he did. But Ray was not convinced the moon was a great white serpent. He decided to seek another opinion. A few nights later, Armadillo Ray traveled deeper into the desert. Soon he came to a prairie dog burrow. "Hello," called Ray. "Hello," answered the prairie dog. "I have a question," said Ray. "What is the moon?" "What a silly question for a young armadillo," the prairie dog said. "Everybody knows the moon is the entrance to a great burrow in the sky. The father of all prairie dogs lives at the bottom. He sleeps during the day and keeps the light on at night. Sometimes the door to his burrow is open only a crack. He opens it a little more each day. It is half open tonight. In a few nights, it will be wide open. A bright white circle of light." The great prairie dog used to live deep in the center of the world, but now there are too many roads. The cars and trucks became so noisy he could not sleep. So he left our world and dug a hole in the sky. If you watch long enough, you can see him poke his head out. Armadillo Ray and the prairie dog watched the moon move across the sky. But the friends did not see a great prairie dog stick his head out. "There must be too many cars," said the prairie dog. Ray nodded. Still, he was not convinced that the moon was the entrance to the home of a great prairie dog. He decided to keep searching for an answer. Several nights later, Ray returned to his quest. He soon saw a sage-grouse spinning in the brush. She was spreading her wings and ruffling her tail feathers. "Hello," said Ray. "Hello," said the grouse. I have a question, said Ray. What is the moon? What a silly question for a young armadillo, said the grouse. Everybody knows the moon is a giant egg. The grouse who laid it used the sky as a nest because the desert was too small. And beyond the desert are buildings and steamboats and bridges, things a young armadillo like you wouldn't know about. The moon is a magic egg, the grouse continued. It grows smaller and larger and larger and smaller over and over and over. But it has never hatched. One day it will crack open and the world's largest grouse will come out. Won't that be the day? Before Ray could reply, he heard a noise. It was an owl who lived in a nearby cactus. Ha, said the owl, don't listen to that grouse, or the snakes, or the prairie dog, or the others. I will tell you about the moon. Ray was happy. Owls are wise, Ray thought. He will know what the moon is. The owl began to talk. He used words Ray had never heard before. On and on he talked. The night began to slip away. Armadillo Ray listened and tried to understand. Fingers of color scratched the darkness from the sky. The moon disappeared, and the sun came up. The owl finished his story. He looked down from the cactus. Ray was lying on the ground, his head on his paws. Ray knew the owl was wise, and he believed the owl had told him the truth. But somehow, the owl's story had seemed the most unbelievable of all. Ray was a tired armadillo. As Ray closed his eyes in sleep, the moon rose again in his dreams. It seemed to be a great, shining armadillo. The end.